Hi, I'm Dearborn City Councilwoman Leslie Herrick, and I'd like to welcome you to this edition of Council in the Community. Today we're joined by Jordan Torty. He's the director of our Economic Development Department. Thank you so much for being here today, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So could we just start out talking about what your department does, just umbrella, and how many people work there? What are their responsibilities?
Absolutely. So that's a really good question. So the Economic Development Department consists of about 72 people, and they focus on everything related to land use and development in the city. So whether it's permits, it's inspections, zoning approvals, master planning, community conversations about what types of development we want to see, our department does it all. We also have a business team that supports our business districts, including our two downtowns, the Dix-Verner corridor, the Warren corridor, and they provide resource referrals to businesses. We have liaisons that have done over 2,000 visits to businesses in those districts, and we also put on events and programming throughout the districts.
I think a lot of people don't realize how broad the scope of your work is. Tell us a little bit about what are some of the main things that are happening right now with your department. First, though, I'd like to talk about the master plan, because there's a survey going on, and what's the deadline, and you're getting public input about that. What is that?
Absolutely. So first, you should go online to plandearborn.org, and you'll be able to take a look at that master plan website, and you can find the survey that the councilwoman referenced. It's a really great opportunity to tell us what you want to see in your neighborhood and in your business district. So the master plan is something that is required of every community in Michigan. Every 5 years, you have to update your plan, and it talks about what your land use looks like throughout the city. What types of businesses do you want? Where do you want them? What about green space, the different types of housing? It kind of covers it all. And so what we're doing right now, we're in the middle of an update that'll finish next year, and we are in a mode of taking input from the community right now. We have a steering committee that's made up of businesses and residents and volunteers throughout the city, and they are helping guide us as we put this plan together. But you can give us your voice by going onto that survey and telling us your thoughts.
And are there going to be further community meetings as the plan is further developed?
Absolutely. In fact, in the last week of April, from the 29th to early May, we're going to be doing about a dozen listening sessions all throughout the community. So if you go to that Plan Dearborn website, you'll be able to see the schedule. We're working with community partners to find host locations in neighborhoods and business districts all throughout the city, so that you don't necessarily have to just come to the Dearborn Administrative Center. We'll come to you.
So what about neighborhood and business, what your department does to keep them looking great? Tell us a little bit about that.
That's a really great question. I appreciate you highlighting that. And so that's another thing that's a huge team effort, because it takes not only our team, but the involvement of the businesses and the residents. And so what we do, we have the code enforcement team as part of neighborhood services within our department. And so they go out and they walk through our neighborhoods, they walk through our business districts, and they make sure that property maintenance is kept up. There are city ordinances and codes that are the guide and the reference point, and that's what we follow. We are, for this year, following a lot of feedback we got from residents and businesses about the uncertainty over when the actual grass and weed season starts and how it works and what you're supposed to do. We actually decided this year to pick a date. So April Fool's Day, no joke here, but April 1st was the beginning of that season. So there also is, as part of this, a 24-hour abatement. So this is where our team will always consider extenuating circumstances if a property owner is struggling or if there's an issue behind a maintenance concern. But what we put together is there's a lot of times where there are property owners where there are no extenuating circumstances, and so an issue is allowed to fester. The 24-hour abatement is going to make sure that we can respond quickly to tall grass and weeds and litter that generates rodents and other issues that, if it's left unkempt, it creates not only that aesthetic problem, but a public health concern as well. So that's really why we put that together, so we can respond timely. And just so you all know too, that first touch point you're going to get from us is a notice of violation. That is not a ticket. That's us saying, hey, there's an issue here. We want to work with you to get it solved, and you have to respond within 24 hours, and we will work with you to get to compliance. So folks know at home, when you see that notice, it should explain very clearly what the code is that you violated, what you need to do to correct, and who you can talk to if you have questions. If none of that information is on there, or if it's incomplete, or if it's confusing, you should call the response center, 943-2150. Call that number, we'll get in touch with you, we'll help you achieve compliance. That 24-hour abatement allows us to make sure that something that could generate a public health concern or a safety concern does not fester. So that's generally what we've rolled out this year, and we have a team of, we've actually just expanded that team to 6 full-time officers. We're also looking at some part-time seasonal help as well to make sure that we can be as responsive as the community needs us to be during that time.
Let's talk a little bit about what is happening in our business districts right now. What are we excited about about all 4 of our business districts. And of course, we have businesses that aren't necessarily in those areas that we think about as well. So what's coming up?
Absolutely, it's a great question. We're really excited about what's coming for all the districts. So folks have probably already seen some of the physical placemaking investments that we're making with the Peace Parks, particularly in the West Downtown, but we also have one planned for the East Downtown and one that's going to be in the South End area as well. So those 3 new parks are in, one is in active construction phase, the other are in planning and design phase, and we're working with the contractors and the Parks Department to make sure that that happens very successfully. We're really excited about those. We're also investing a lot more in those services that contribute to a healthy, vibrant, clean, and safe downtown. So things like litter pickup, dumpster area maintenance, holiday lights, events and programs. We're going to have, our goal this year is to have events and programs throughout all the districts and not just 1 or 2. We have, for example, our mix and mingles where we have a chance. We just had one for the West and the East Downtown. We have Warren and Dix Verner being planned for later this year, where it's an opportunity for the businesses and the neighbors in those districts to come meet the staff who work with them. We have, I mentioned, those business liaisons. There's one assigned to each district who is dedicated to be their person inside City Hall. If they don't know who else to call, that liaison is there to help them guide through all the bureaucracy and just make it easy to connect to resources, events, programs, and opportunities. So we have the placemaking stuff going on, we have the events and programs, and we have some larger projects too. So for example, you might have heard about the $25 million Warren Avenue Transformation Grant. That is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to really take a fresh look at that corridor. We're partnering actively with the federal government, who's providing that funding, as well as some local sources. We're also working with Wayne County, since it is a county road. We're in a process right now where we have contracts on the street to do surveying work, design work. We're hoping to be able to start construction by the end of 2025. And in the meantime, we're working through all of those pieces. We'll have town halls with the community. We'll have plenty of opportunity for input, but we're extremely excited about that project as well.
Well, thank you so much for everything that your team is doing to make Dearborn a place that people want to visit or work or especially live in. And all the things that we have coming up. It's really an exciting time here in Dearborn, and your department has such a critical role in all of that. So thank you to you and your team.
Thank you so much. We're honored to be part of it and here to help. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And we'd like to thank you for joining us for this edition of Council in the Community. I'm Dearborn City Council President Pro Tem, and I look forward to talking with you next time.